Hi guys, my name is Kim and you are watching the first episode of the video podcast Me and My Dog and Some Yarn. So welcome. You are probably wondering why I'm sitting in the middle of my craft room on the floor with my dog, but I do have a very good reason. I will not always be filming on the floor with my dog, but I did want you guys to meet her. This is Dottie. She is my 9-year-old golden retriever. And she is partly the reason why I chose the name that I did for my blog and for my podcast. And Dottie is always with me. Anytime I'm in the house, she is right on my heels, following me from room to room. And she's just my little shadow. And when I leave in the morning, she follows me to the door to tell me goodbye. And when I come home in the afternoon, she greets me with kisses and tail wags, and she's just so excited to see me. And so she's always with me, as is my yarn. My yarn is always with me. I take my knitting everywhere. I mean everywhere. I don't leave the house without at least a little tiny project bagged with hexie puffs or a scarf or whatever I'm working on. I take it to work, because I might have a few minutes at the end of the day to knit on a row or whatever before I leave. I take it to the dentist for dentist appointments, doctor's appointments, picking up people from the airport. Just whenever I leave the house, the yarn goes with me. So Dottie is always with me. My yarn is always with me. So I came up with the name Me and My Dog and Some Yarn. You can follow me on my blog at MeAndMyDogAndSomeYarn.wordpress.com. You can also find me on Ravelry. My username is Blackhorse. And you can email me if you have any comments or suggestions at MeAndMyDogAndSomeYarn@yahoo.com. So welcome to the podcast. This is my first one, and I hope that the sound is okay. I hope the lighting is okay. I'm still getting used to the camera, and it's hard to talk in front of the camera. I'm not used to it. I'm not comfortable with it, but I hope that as time goes by that it might get a little bit easier. So we will see. Since this is the first podcast, I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Houston, Texas, and I have lived here all my life. I love living in Texas. If you've never visited Texas, you really should come down here and see all the sights. From one side of the state to the other is completely different in landscape. You have the piney woods of East Texas. You have desert-like scenes out in West Texas with they've got a lot of turbines out there now up near Lubbock, and the center part of Texas is called the Hill Country. You've probably heard of Austin or San Antonio. That's part of the Hill Country. That's my favorite, and that is where I would like to live someday. Maybe when I retire. Maybe my husband and I will move up there, I hope. It's beautiful with the hills, and you've got deer going through the backyard, and you've got rivers not far away, and there's all kinds of little towns. Most of them are German towns, so they have different types of food. They have sausages and kolaches and all kinds of cuisine from that the German settlers brought over. So anyways, I'm married. I've been married for 12 years. Actually, this past Sunday was our 12th year wedding anniversary, and I cannot believe that we've been married that long. We have 2 children. They're actually my stepchildren. Tori is in Pennsylvania. She was in Georgia. She graduated from Auburn University and moved to Georgia about a year after. And she started a wonderful job, and she got a promotion just a few months ago. So she packed up her bags and moved even further away from Texas. We weren't too excited about that, but we're very proud of her, and we want her to succeed in whatever she does. But we do miss her. Then we have Vincent, who is a junior at Texas Tech University. We just moved him back to Lubbock this past weekend, so the house is extremely quiet. And if you guys have any college students, then you know what I mean. It's really, really quiet, and it's probably going to take another week or so before I realize or get used to the fact that he's gone. I graduated from the University of Houston. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Hotel and Restaurant Management, and I loved being in the restaurant industry. It was fun, fast-paced, get to see all kinds of people, and I really loved it. But I hated working nights and weekends once I got married and had a family, so I decided to take an office job, which I did for a while, and that got very redundant, and there was no room for promotions, and I began to not like getting up and going to work every day. So I took a year off, and then my dad called me about 6 years ago and said, "Hey, my office manager wants to retire. Are you interested?" So I said yes, and now I work for my dad. Been working for him for about 6 years, and I love working with my dad. He used to be gone a lot when I was little because he would go out on calls, and I wouldn't see him very much at night. I did see him a lot on weekends, but I would remember him getting up in the middle of the night and having to go out on a call, and now I know where he was all these years. I kind of see what he did to make a living to take care of us, and it's kind of neat to see what he did and now to spend time with him in the office. So anyways, let's see. My hobbies, besides knitting, as you guys probably assumed by the podcast, I like to sew, and I've just learned how to crochet, and I also like to garden. My husband and I both garden. We have a huge vegetable garden in the summertime, and then we have a smaller one in the fall. We're getting ready to plant our fall vegetable garden, but right now the only thing out there, because the tomatoes and the jalapenos and the squash is all played out, so we have just cucuzza, and you probably have never heard of cucuzza. Cucuzza is a long green Italian squash. It likes really, really hot weather, and it has to be pollinated by bees in order for it to produce a fruit. The plant itself, I know you're not going to believe this, but the plant itself can grow 2 feet in one day. And I did say that right, 2 feet in one day. And the squash itself can grow 2 inches in one day. And it's amazing how fast that plant takes off. And you need a really big, you need a really big trellis to grow it on. So anyways, once I have one, I will show it to you. I'm sorry, I'm on call, so I have to leave my phone on. I hate to do that, but you know, I have to for my job. So anyways, that's enough about me. What can you expect from the podcast? You will see my works in progress, my finished objects, and my yarn or stash enhancements. I don't go shopping very often for yarn or needles because I really have enough right now. So you probably won't see a lot of that, but if I do, I will show you. And something I was going to do that I don't think any other podcasters have done. I haven't seen a whole bunch of podcasts, so I'm not really sure. But I collect vintage knitting magazines, you know, with patterns. And so I'm going to show you guys one book each podcast towards the end of the podcast. And I will show you what I like about the book and what I think might be interesting about the book, and hopefully you will find the book interesting too. I really, really love vintage fashions. I like the 30s, 40s, some of the 50s. I like the 60s and some of the 70s. But I guess my favorite would be 40s if I had to pick one. So anyways, we will get started. Sorry, Dottie's about to knock down the camera. Come over here. Okay, so let's get started. I am going to show you my works in progress. I have one right now. This is my boxy sweater, and this is a bag that I've made. I sell my bags on Etsy if you're ever interested. My shop name is Black Horse Fashions, and that's my small project bag. I'm working on some larger ones at the moment. But this is my boxy sweater. And this sweater is by Joji Locatelli. And I'm not sure if you are familiar with her patterns. She is an amazing designer, and she has some of the best patterns, I think, for sweaters. This one, as you can see, it is an oversized sweater. It's knit out of fingering yarn, and from what I can tell on Ravelry, I think it looks great on everybody. No matter what your body size or type, I think it looks good on them. So I'm hoping to finish the sweater by the time my husband and I go to New York this fall. It's knitted from the bottom up, and the pattern is found on Ravelry. It's a pattern that you can purchase. I believe it was $6, I think. And this is knit from the yarn Pattern. It's Stretch Sock by Pattern. Trying to get the camera to focus. Oh, it's not focusing very. There you go. Alright, so it's in the colorway Licorice. And I had knit this pair of socks for my son out of this yarn. Here's the label if you're interested. Dottie, go away. And anyways, I had knit him a pair of socks, and I loved knitting with this yarn, and I thought, you know, this would be great for a boxy sweater. I wonder if they have enough. So I went back to Michael's, and they didn't have it in the bin where they normally have this yarn and where I had purchased it before. But on my way out of the store, I saw a bin of yarn for sale, and of course I had to stop because you can't just pass up a bin of sale yarn. So I stopped and looked, and sure enough, they had a whole bunch of this colorway. They had, I think, 6 or 7 in one dye lot, and then I went ahead and bought the other 2 dye lots, and I'm holding them back. If I have to, I'll use them on the sleeves. My cat just knocked over my drink, but it's okay. So anyways, yeah, this is my boxy sweater. It's knit in the round, or you can knit it flat and then seam the sides, but I like knitting in the round. I like knitting just stockinette stitch. I don't like going from knit to purl and doing the whole stockinette stitch flat. I like just knitting knit stitches. It goes so much faster. So this is my boxy, and I'm really excited about it. And I will show you this next week, and hopefully it will be longer. I cannot wait to get up to the arm spots. So we'll see how that goes. As far as finished objects, I do have one, but I don't want to show you because it's a Christmas gift for my daughter, and although I don't think she knows I have a podcast, she might find it between now and Christmas, and I don't want to ruin a Christmas gift for her. So, I'm not going to show you. I might show you later. Yeah, I might show you later. Okay, I don't have any enhancements either. You're not going to believe this. I did go to 2 local yarn shops this past weekend with my mother, and I did not buy one thing. I did not buy a pattern. I didn't buy a skein of yarn. I didn't buy needles. I don't know. I think I was sick. I really do, because I haven't been to a yarn store in forever, and so I really, you know, should have been buying all kinds of yarn, but I didn't. So my husband was glad. I think he wished it on me. Okay, so I guess that brings me to the featured, the featured vintage knitting magazine. And this one I've picked out because I just ordered it on eBay about 2 weeks ago. It came last week. I'm super excited about it. It is from the 1942. The magazine is called Bernat Handicrafter. It is volume number 8, and it's number 3. And yeah, if you recall from your World History class, World War II lasted from 1939 to 1945, and the war started with Nazi Germany attacking Poland in 1939, I believe. And the U.S. didn't really get involved in the war until Pearl Harbor. I cannot speak. Pearl Harbor in 1941, December of 1941. So this knitting book came out within the first year of going to war, and I was obviously not around back then. My dad was born in 41. He was born in July of 41, so he was born 6 months before Pearl Harbor. I'm sure that was a really hard time. My mother was born in 42, so she was just a baby when all of this was going on. And yeah, so back in the 40s, I don't know if you know or not, but back in the 40s, Americans knitted for the troops, and it was a big deal. Even Eleanor Roosevelt, the First Lady, she held a tea party for the war effort, and it was called, oh, let's see, what are my notes here? She launched the World War II knitting effort, and it was called Knit for Defense Tea, and they held it at the Waldorf Astoria in New York City. And even if you ever find a Life magazine from November 24th, 1941, there's a picture of a lady knitting on the front, and it says, it tells you how to knit, and it has a vintage knitting pattern in it. So everything was focused around knitting for our soldiers. And in this book, you can see there is a pattern for gloves and for a watch hat and for a scarf. And then here is another set right here. Before Pearl Harbor, Americans knitted for the British troops. I don't know if you guys know that, but it was called Bundles for Britain, and they would put together care packages of food and clothing, and the ladies would knit for the British soldiers. Well, then after the war broke out and Pearl Harbor happened, then everybody started talking about knitting for the troops, and it wasn't so much that they needed these items, because we did have machines that could knit sweaters and hats and things like that. But I think it made the women here at home who felt helpless with their husbands and you know, brothers and fathers, I guess, over in the war, it made them feel like they weren't so helpless and that they were contributing something to the war. Here is a sweater. It's called a high round neck slip-on sweater. You can see it's just very basic. Let's see what else. My favorite books are these that kind of show a history. I love history. What did I do to the front? Here. Here's the ad on the back. It's for Lux. I believe that was a laundry detergent. I think. Yes, it was mild and safe. So at the beginning of the book, it has a lot of men's patterns, but my favorite are towards the back of the book, where they have fashions for women. And I cannot imagine knitting a whole dress. That would take me forever. I don't think I would ever finish it. But they are so cute. They're just so classy. And really, I mean, some of these could be worn today without you really knowing that they were from a past era. Look at that one. This one looks like a dress, and she has a belt around it. I don't know if it's knit in one piece. No, it's knit in two. It's knit into the skirt and then to the bodice. Yeah, I think it's, I don't know, it might be, no, it's a dress. It is a dress. I think you stitch it together at the end. Oh, this one's my favorite. I love this. Look at her hat. Isn't that cute? I love that. It's called the Yorkshire dress. And then this sweater here definitely makes me think 40s. Look at the shoulder pads. And of course the lady is wearing slacks or trousers, which they started to do back in the 40s. But this has some really cute patterns. I get this one. I'm not sure I'm doing this right. There we go. Look at her hat. It's a cable sweater. And then this one is a little girl, I guess a teenager, a girl. And she's got roller skates. I think my mom had those kind of roller skates they clipped onto her shoes. That was also before my time. I had the skates that had the boots on, you know. They came in one piece, and you just took your shoes off, and then you put the boot on that had the wheels already underneath it. And then in the back of this, there's patterns for girls or teenagers. They're really cute. I thought they had a kid. Oh, here. This one's cute. Let's see this. This little girl. Little cardigan for children. And then here is for the little boys, the sweater and shorts. So, sorry, I really need to go catch that. But anyways, so this is Bernat Handicrafter, Wartime, copyright 1942. I hope you guys have enjoyed my first podcast. I'm going to have to go ahead and end it. I hope I didn't bore you with the history lesson of World War II. If I did, I'm very sorry. I do hope you will return next week, and I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope you'll come back, and please leave a comment. If Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. If you guys want to look through my library of vintage patterns, you can go on Ravelry and look under my library. I have them, I should have them all tagged as vintage. And my username is Blackhorse, BLACKHORSE. So if you would like me to show a particular book, I'll be happy to do that. Just leave me a comment on my blog, or send me a message through Ravelry, and I'll be happy to show you a book. And anyways, I guess that's it. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you come back. We'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.